The story begins in a sprawling, restless city where traffic never truly loosens its grip. Cars crawl, horns echo, and people depend on motorcycle taxis to cut through the jam. A young man needs a ride, and a bike taxi driver named Swan pulls over to help. Swan has memorized every shortcut, every alley, and every risky turn that saves a minute. He carries the passenger through crowded streets, drops him off, and immediately scans for the next fare. Not far away, Swan notices a fair-skinned, stylish young woman waiting on the sidewalk. She needs to get somewhere quickly, and Swan offers his service. They agree on the price, and she climbs onto the back of the bike with practiced confidence. Swan delivers her to a nearby destination without delay. As she gets off, she explains that she will only need a little time inside and wants Swan to take her back afterward. Swan agrees to wait, and instead of demanding payment immediately, he suggests she can settle up afterward when she returns. Scared, the woman, Julia, slips into a small clothing shop. Swan sits outside with his phone, playing a simple game while keeping an eye on the entrance. The street hums with ordinary life, yet Swan's attention keeps drifting toward the shop, partly because he is waiting, and partly because he feels a strange pull he cannot name. Kenk. Inside, Julia meets a friend, and they share an intimate moment that becomes audible through the thin doorway. Swan hears breathy sounds that do not match the calm rhythm of shopping. Curiosity overrides caution. He steps closer, pretending to study the display, and catches a glimpse that jolts him. The scene is private and clearly not meant for him, but he freezes, stunned by what he sees. Kenk. Even more unsettling is his own reaction. The sight stirs his mind, yet his body remains unresponsive. There is no rush of heat, no spark of excitement, only a dull stillness that makes him feel broken. The disconnect leaves him ashamed, as if his instincts have abandoned him. Julia returns soon after, acting casual. Swan drives her back to her next stop. As she pays, she asks for his number so she can call him whenever she needs a ride. Swan gives it. She rings once to confirm, and they exchange names and contact details before separating. That evening, Swan returns to the small rented home he shares with his younger brother Jinsu. Their place is modest, but it is lively because two close friends, Sam and Wong, come and go as they please. Swan relaxes with his phone game. Sam and Wong, meanwhile, scroll through explicit videos and laugh loudly, teasing each other and trying to pull Swan into their crude entertainment. Swan refuses, and the refusal becomes another reason for them to mock him. Jinsu explains that Swan dislikes that kind of content and feels uncomfortable when people treat it like a joke, but the teasing continues. The next day, after Swan finishes a long shift, he comes home to find a young woman waiting inside. Sam and Wong have arranged her visit, believing a paid encounter will solve Swan's problem. The woman tries hard to entice him, but Swan still cannot respond. The failure is humiliating. The woman grows impatient and angry, and Swan escapes the situation, feeling the weight of his silence and shame following him down the hallway. Later that night, Jinsu finally tells Sam and Wong what happened to Swan. Swan once had a girlfriend and a normal, affectionate relationship. Then a road accident left him injured and rattled, and afterward he struggled to perform sexually. The change damaged his confidence so deeply that his girlfriend eventually left. A doctor suggested that the problem might improve if Swan ever felt safe and genuinely attracted again, as if his body needed trust as much as desire. Swan's workdays remained long and repetitive. He watched couples laugh on sidewalks, felt envy, and wondered if his accident had stolen more than physical ability. He avoided talking about it, saved money quietly, and hid his loneliness behind constant motion every single night. Days pass. Swan keeps working, trying to focus on money and routine, but the emptiness follows him. Then Julia messages him, asking for a taxi bike. Swan goes to her location and, at her direction, stops in a quiet alley away from the main road. Julia brings up the earlier incident at the clothing shop, revealing that she and her friend noticed him watching. Swan feels his face heat with embarrassment and tries to apologize, but Julia does not react with anger. She seems oddly calm, almost amused by his discomfort. Julia steps closer and kisses him. The kiss lands like a key turning in a locked door. Swan feels a sudden rush of sensation, a warmth that spreads through him, and a natural arousal that he believed he had lost forever. The numbness breaks. Relief floods him so intensely that it is almost painful. The moment does not feel like a trick. It feels like his body recognizing something it has been waiting for. Afterward, Swan drives Julia to her destination. He shares, carefully and without exaggeration, that an accident had shaken his confidence and disrupted his ability to respond, and that her kiss has brought him back to life. Julia seems pleased by the effect she has had. She tries to pay him, but Swan refuses, treating the ride as a gift because he is grateful and because, in truth, he already likes her. The next day, Julia calls again. Swan arrives with a small present, an expensive facial oil he believes will make her skin glow. Julia accepts it, charmed by his earnestness. On the ride, she mentions that her friend from the shop wants to meet him. The friend's name is Vina, and Julia directs Swan to Vina's workplace. Yuvina greets Swan warmly as if she has been expecting him. The atmosphere feels different now, charged with shared memory. Vina flirts openly and suggests turning Swan's earlier voyeurism into something controlled and mutual. Julia and Vina begin touching and kissing in front of him, watching Swan's face for signs of reaction. Swan's embarrassment returns, but so does his desire. He feels his arousal rise quickly, and the two women draw him into a consensual encounter that leaves him dizzy with pleasure and surprised by how fully he can respond. That night, Swan returns home glowing with confidence. Jinsu, Sam, and Wong are there, and Swan admits that he has been intimate with two women, and that his long problem seems to be gone. The three men react with surprise and excitement, and they drink together, celebrating Swan's recovery and the end of his humiliation. From then on, Swan's life settles into a pattern. He rides passengers through the city, then meets Julia, and later visits Vina, where the two women welcome him into their private world. Swan never tells his friends the women's names, fearing gossip could ruin them. He shares only vague stories, enough to satisfy curiosity while protecting Julia and Vina from exposure. His friends, unaware of the truth, laugh and listen, impressed by Swan's sudden transformation. One evening, Swan finds Jinsu sitting outside and joins him. In the quieter air, Jinsu talks about marriage and the future. Swan admits that he has grown attached to both Julia and Vina, and that his feelings have become more than physical. He cannot decide which woman he would choose, and he feels guilty even imagining a choice. Jinsu suggests Swan speak honestly and see whether either woman wants real commitment. The next day, Swan tells Julia and Vina that he loves them and wants to marry one of them. The confession collapses the fantasy. Both women reveal they are already married. Their husbands ignore them and chase other women, leaving them lonely and resentful. Julia and Vina sought comfort and revenge outside their marriages, and Swan became the person who made them feel desired again. But neither woman is willing to leave her life behind for him. Swan's heart sinks. He asks Julia to reconsider, but she refuses and urges him to enjoy what they have without demanding more. Swan leaves shaken, afraid that heartbreak will drag him back into numbness. Iverim repairs Lake. As Julia prepares to leave, Wong appears in her path. He has overheard enough to understand what has been happening. Soon after, Swan reaches home and is confronted by Wong again. Wong drags Swan inside and attacks him in rage, accusing him of sleeping with his wife. Swan insists he never knew Julia was married to Wong. The shock in Swan's voice convinces Wong that there was no deliberate betrayal. Wong stops, but he warns Swan to stay away from Julia. The full truth snaps into place. Wong and Sam, Swan's closest friends, are the husbands of Julia and Vina. The men have been bringing other women into their own house for pleasure, then laughing at Swan's weakness. When Julia and Vina discovered the betrayal, they decided to retaliate. Julia approached Swan first, knowing his vulnerability would make him easy to pull close. Then she brought him to Vina, and together they used Swan as a mirror to punish their husband's arrogance. Kate Stirrer. Julia and Vina did not plan to offer Swan a future. They wanted satisfaction, control, and a sense of justice, and Swan became the tool that delivered all three. In return, Swan regained confidence, yet he also lost trust. He is left balancing gratitude for his recovery against the sting of being used by people he cared about. He keeps working, hoping routine will steady him, while memories of Julia and Vina still linger like heat. The story ends with Swan standing at an uncertain edge. His body feels awake again, but his heart is bruised. He cannot tell whether his renewed strength will survive this betrayal or whether the shock will reopen the wound that once made him feel empty. City continues to roar around him, and Swan rides forward without knowing what part of his life is truly repaired.